Wow.
Dude, what the
Wow.
hell? What? I don't know. I woke up this morning and I was like, my first thought was, what? Just I still can't believe that they won that game.
That's the reaction that everyone had, whether you're an Arizona
Yeah.
State fan, a USC fan, a fan of college football, or you didn't even know the game was being played. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Trojan Dash. I'm Sam Arslanian. I'm the founder, and I run Dash Sports TV, and I'm joined once again by Nathan Ackerman. Nathan, how are you doing?
I'm exhausted, to be honest. Like, that game drained so much out of me. It was the weirdest football game. It was the earliest football game I've ever seen, for starters. But it was the weirdest football game. It was, the most intense roller coaster of emotions. It was. I still can't believe that they won that game. I don't know what to take away from that game. It was just it was so bizarre. Mr. Emil Jones is back in the chat. What's up,
Neil,
Emil?
welcome
Good to see
back.
you again. And
Neil.
I feel like I need to start this off by addressing the elephant that is currently in this room. And it's not actually about USC football. It is about BYU football. If there are any BYU fans on this stream, please jump in the chat, say hello. You guys got me. This is me eating my words right now. I was wrong. Everything I've ever said about your football team is wrong. I own that entirely. I am rooting for y'all this year. You guys have the most passionate fan base I've ever witnessed in my entire life. And you guys are all very, very, very good people. So that was a fun little back and forth we had. I spent a lot of time on Twitter on Tuesday and Wednesday, whenever that was. Thank you, Sam, for tweeting out that one particular clip that
Gotcha.
sent me viral on Cougar Twitter, Cougar football Twitter. That is.
Here's the one thing I will say, Nathan. I respect you for owning your word, and I will have my own apology here. I'm gonna apologize a little bit less than you, real quick, because I do still not think BYU is a top 10 team, and I say that just because, like, yeah, they're great. They've done everything. They've shown it perfect, but like, I mean, the reality of the day is they're not going to come down to the top four, and the only thing that matters in college football is the top four. And if they get put in there, they're going to get destroyed. It doesn't matter who's in the top four. It's not going to be USC. If it is USC, they got to pull a miracle out of the hat. But I guess they're pretty good at doing. But yes, I overrated USC. I overrated USC. But judging from just this one game, we'll see down the stretch.
You're trying to back me into a trap, and I'm not going to fall for it. I think BYU is entirely deserving of where they are at right now. Zach Wilson is a stud, man.
They are. No, he is. They're great. They're a fantastic team.
Look, I still think a USC BYU game would be close, but based on what I saw the last weekend, I mean, USC just looked terrible. Like, they shouldn't even be ranked. I don't care if they won. No, okay, that's a little bit harsh. They should be ranked, but yeah, BYU fans, congrats. Got me. I lose.
All right, let's get back to USC. This is a USC show, and yes. I still have the pain of last year's BYU game. So I'd rather not talk about that anymore. Let's talk about the highs and the lows for me. There were a lot of highs, there were a lot of lows. I'm gonna kick it off. We each picked a theme and a player or position group for our highs and lows, one each. So for my highs, I got Stephen Carr. Stephen Carr looked violent. He was fantastic in that game. I tweeted it out right when there was the first touch he got. Trucked a dude. Loved it. Big fan of Stephen Carr. He's going to make an impact in a big way this year if he can stay healthy. That's the number one thing. Stephen Carr, I'm looking at you right now. Please stay healthy, man. You're looking fantastic. You're going to make a name for yourself this year. I want to see it. Nathan, who's your player? The one player that was stand out.
To me, so okay. Stephen Carr looked great. But I need to give my and Drake London to me was the clear-cut MVP of that game. And the thing that stuck out to me about him was that he's not a number 3 option, right? He's like a 1C, okay? And I mean, maybe he's even better than that. I mean, the guy is maybe the most athletic player on the entire football team. I'm a Golden State Warriors fan, right? It kind of reminded me of the KD, Steph, Klay Thompson days when you didn't need to have all 3 of those guys clicking, firing on, like on top of their the best they've ever played in their, like, you don't need to have that every single game. If you have one guy that can like drop 40 points or put up 125 yards like Drake did, like this team is really tough to beat. And that can come from any of these wide receivers, like beyond the big three, of course. But Drake London to me was just so impressive. The grab that he made on that perfect pass from Keaton Slovis to put USC
finger
ahead.
strength, maybe.
Yeah, it was. I thought it was kind of rude when he popped up at first. Like the position that he was like standing in, the ball was perfectly hidden from the camera. So it caused like 5 seconds of, I'm sure, USC fans everywhere to think that he had dropped it, which I thought he did when I saw him pop up. I was like, he's not holding the ball, like USC lost. But then all of a sudden he like flips it to the ref, and I'm like, no way he just made that play, but he did. It was in like double coverage. He took a shot right as he made it. The guy like swiped at the ball, and it, as you said, it almost popped out of his fingertips, but he managed to hold on. Super impressive game from him. If USC gets that Drake London all season, like, or even close to that,
he's gonna be good. He's good. We know that.
Yeah.
We know that. Now, you know what I will say about London is he rose to the occasion. And I saw that. I saw that play. I was there. I was in the press box. I was on the opposite end of the press box. So all I saw was a herd of ASU TPs surrounding him. And I'm like, there is absolutely no way he comes up with this ball. And I see him stand up and just put up the ball. And I'm like, oh my God, he caught it.
Yeah.
Oh my God, he caught it. So we got a meal in the chat. I think London could put on weight and move into a tight end position. He'd be amazing. Yeah, no, that'd be really interesting.
Yeah, I think he could do that too, but we saw he can be an effective receiver. I mean, I feel like some of the talk around him.
Well, I think you can have just some packages where you put him in at tight end.
Yeah. Oh, right? Yeah, totally. I mean, he can. That's the thing. The whole is, as I said, one of the most athletic guys on this team. He can play pretty much any position on the offensive side of the ball. Like the guy's so versatile, and he's extremely strong. Like people underrated that. You saw the one play. I think it was toward the end of the game. I think it was. I actually don't remember when exactly. It might have been before their second touchdown when he caught it like around the 19-20 yard line and just plowed forward through like 3 guys, broke like 4 tackles for 18 more yards, got him right to the one or the 2. Like he's really strong. He can go up and make plays. He has great hands. Like just really impressive game. And it didn't surprise me either. I feel like a lot of people, we're like, wow, where did Drake London come from? I'm like, did you see any of 2019? Like that didn't catch me off guard at all. I could see him leading any game in receiving yards for USC this year.
All right, we're running a little hot on time right now, but we'll move on to our theme that was good. And I'm going to steal this from Joel Klatt from Fox. He was on the call for the game, and I was watching the post-game show like late at night after the final Pac-12 game finished, and he said something really that I thought was great. This team played as bad as they possibly could for 57 minutes, and they won.
Yeah.
So, like, what can they do if they can find those 3 minutes? Now, that's not an easy task. And that gets into, should this win be celebrated? I think you can celebrate the win. I think anytime you come behind from 2 scores with 3 minutes left, there's reason to celebrate. But now, Sunday, Monday, this week in practice, gearing up for Arizona, celebrate that. You gotta gear down, and you gotta figure out what went wrong in the first 57 minutes. But I will say the good of that is they found a way to win. I will always applaud that. I will always applaud clutch performance. Keaton Slovis figuring it out when it needed to happen. Drake London being a boss. The running backs, they found a way to win. What's your positive takeaway?
Yeah, kind of along those same lines. Clay Helton kind of alluded to it in the post-game press conference. He said, we probably don't win that game last year. And I totally agree. Because last year that felt like the kind of game that USC, the season openers hyped up and they just go out and they lay a dud and they don't come back, right? It felt like to me there's a different air about this team. And it felt like toward the end of that game, they had a chance, right? Because you said, okay, they need to score here, which they can totally do because their offense is loaded. Then they need the onside kick, which admittedly there's a slim chance of getting that. But once they got that, sort of felt like this was going to happen. And, I kind of wavered when it was like 4th and 9 because it was 4th and 9 and they were, staring defeat in the face. But it feels like there's a different juice, a different mojo around this team. I don't think they win that game last year. I think there was something about, whether it was the way they created their own energy on the sidelines, whatever it was. It felt like there was some sort of. I don't like to get too like philosophical with these things because obviously they had to play well on the field, but it just felt like they believed that they could win that game, and there seemed to be some sort of extra energy, mojo, whatever you want to call it, some different air around this team that I didn't quite see as much of last year.
That's fair. No, I agree with you there. Like they definitely brought their own juice. They needed to. Sometimes I think it was a little bit too much. We had some players dancing on the field when they're down by 2 scores. And I understand you got to stay in the game and you got to stay loose, but like I don't like seeing dancing to music when you're down by 14 and the play is about to start. Anyways, that segues us perfectly into, into the negatives. I'm gonna let you lead off with the negatives, Nathan. Just give me both of them, your player and your
Yeah,
theme.
the defensive game plan was not great, and I don't even know if that's how I want to frame it. I think I more want to say, was there a defensive game plan? I mean, I guess my two lows, my two negative takeaways sort of go hand in hand. It's that I feel like they didn't create a ton of pressure on Jaden Daniels, but when they did, and when they were able to finish plays behind or at the line of scrimmage, whether it was Daniels or somebody else, they just didn't do that. And tackling was an issue that we saw last year. And it seemed like they had a chance to finish out so many plays that they just didn't finish. And then Daniels would run for 10 yards, or the running backs would take it like 30, 40 yards to the house, which happened like once or twice. So the defense, it just looked disoriented. I think whatever the game plan was, whatever the preparation was there on Todd Orlando's part, maybe there was execution, maybe it was under preparation, but I just didn't see. I'm not entirely sold on the defense yet. I don't know, it didn't look too promising to me.
Yeah, neither am I. I want to acknowledge Emil and Chad again. The team will peak at the right time. It's good. It's good that the start was not the best. Room for improvement. And this is something, at least as long as I've been covering USC, I've covered them for the past 3 years, and this is my 4th year. They have never started strong. They have never started strong. You had Western Michigan in 2018. You had UNLV, and then what's the one I'm missing? Fresno State.
Fresno State.
Yeah, Fresno State. And none of those were great starts.
And they even lost to Alabama by like 50 points, which is Alabama, but still 50
they don't
points.
Start fast. But I do think that the ceiling is so high for this. They can be so much better than that.
Yeah, and I mean, that was what I was saying about this Arizona State game. Like, they don't start strong. If they don't start strong today or yesterday, they're going to lose because Arizona State's a good team. And they didn't start strong, and they almost lost. They got a few, I don't want to call it lucky, but they got a few breaks, and, they ended up pulling it out. So, I need to see improvement on the defensive end. I need to see them contain mobile quarterbacks once. Like, it's been the last 3 years, and I've never seen it once. Jaden, he ran for 111 yards from the quarterback, like 258 rushing yards total. Just that's not good enough.
Was he their leading rusher? I think he might have been.
Yeah, I think he was.
Yeah, he was. Yep, 124 yards actually. 24 yards gained, 111 net. Yeah. Okay. We're gonna be real quick on this, and we can get to our next topic. I want to talk about my bads from this. The O-line. We knew this was going to be an issue. It's always been an issue, and it just needs to get better. Specifically, the right side where you don't have Elijah Vera Tucker. I'm not blaming anyone individually, but like you need to give Keaton a little bit more time because it's not going to cut it. Like he was. Thank God Keaton can evade pressure, and he does it so well. He does it so magnificently. You saw him scramble for 15 yards a couple times, 10 yards a couple times. That that's great that you can have that, but you need to give the guy more time in the pocket. Yeah. It's not going to work if you run the table. You're facing Oregon in the finals in the Pac-12 championship. And do you remember what happened last year, Nathan? Because I do. I remember 100 people tackling Keaton Slovis on every play. He only got sacked 3 times in that game yesterday. I was shocked when I saw that final stat. 3 times. Yeah. It felt like 75% of the plays he was pressured. 75% of the passing play. And that scares me. And my theme from this is that it hurts the ranking, obviously. I think even if USC won by, 1 point, but it wasn't that game. They were, it was a close game and then USC won, I think it was fine. But coming back to that, it hurts them in the rankings. There's a reason they held. I said last night that BYU would probably move up one spot and USC was going to hold at 20. I think that's a fine place for them right now, and they did. But here's the thing. USC needs to come out and they need to slap some teams. They're playing Arizona next. That's something they need to do. Lucky for them, Utah might be their first. Utah might have their first game against USC, so that bodes well, especially since it's in Salt Lake. USC does not play well in Salt Lake, so I'm hopeful for them. I think they can slap some teams. They need to put up some major points and show, hey, we're a team that can dominate against a team like Arizona, against a team like UC, against a team like Colorado. Those games have to be 2-score wins. They have to be.
Yeah.
If you want to even talk about this team being a playoff contender, which I think it's at 1%.
Yeah, I mean, there's a chance that they go undefeated and miss the playoff. Like, there's a very real chance that happens. And if you're looking at that, they're going to have 3 games against quality opponents. That's Arizona State, Utah, and the Ducks in the Pac-12 championship game. And they didn't make a statement against the Sun Devils. Like, they won by 1 point. They didn't look particularly good. That's why they didn't jump at all. I mean, now they have 2 games left to make a statement against quality teams. So they're going to have to take advantage of those, and also, as you said, really take advantage of the mediocre to subpar teams that they need to just blow out of the water.
Well, let's move on to the next topic. We spent a long time on that one. There's a lot to talk about from that game. I think we could talk for hours about it. Kedon Slovis, he's a fantastic quarterback. He really is. Granted, I don't think we saw Kedon Slovis' full form. He didn't look like he did last year in this game. The last 3 minutes he did, and that's great. What's your kind of thoughts about Kedon after week 1?
Yeah, so I'm not entirely sure what to make of Kedon Slovis' performance. I thought yesterday he was going to be elite the entire game, and he wasn't. I thought his stat sheet, he threw for like 40 of 55, which is somewhere like 73%. 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, like 381 yards. I thought it was kind of deceiving because he threw a lot of balls into double, triple coverage, tried to force too many passes that I just didn't feel like were there. He under and overthrew some balls. And if you count the one would-be pick that like deflected off one of the linebackers' hands and bounced straight to Drake London, he would have had 26 passing yards taken away and turned into 1 extra pick. So he was okay. It must be stated that he didn't have a ton of time to get comfortable, so that's probably why I didn't look totally comfortable till late in the 4th quarter. But still, the decision making was a little bit uncharacteristic on his part. What I was really impressed by was, I think he did what separates great quarterbacks from good ones. And great quarterbacks, what they do, the hallmark of being a great quarterback isn't being perfect every single game, out throwing for 80% completion with like 4 touchdowns and no picks on every single game. It's finding a way to get the job done when you clearly are not playing your A game. You clearly don't have your best stuff that day. And that's what Kedon Slovis did. And the poise and the maturity that he showed on those last 2 drives where he faced 4th and 3, 4th and 9, 4th and 13, delivered a perfect dime to Drake London for the go-ahead score, the presence of mind to take advantage of the offside penalty on the 3rd touchdown to Amon-Ra to Brew McCoy, where he knew that he had a free play. He had to try to make something happen. He just threw it up. Amon-Ra St. Brown, some maturity and awareness of his own to just tip that ball up. We were talking about this about an hour ago. You said he didn't try to catch that ball at all. He just tipped it straight up. He knew that Brew was there, and Brew was there in the right place at the right time. But the poise and the calmness that Kedon Slovis showed the last 2 minutes, of course, we must shout out guys like the whole special teams unit for that onside kick, Brew as well.
They didn't practice it. They've never practiced an onside kick.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. So we need to shout them out for, giving them the opportunity to make that second comeback in the end. But what Kedon Slovis did in those last 2 minutes was super impressive to me. And I think he showed why he can be so great.
Yeah, I think the decision making was the biggest thing. You saw a lot of passes, like you mentioned, into double and triple coverage. And a lot of the times he threaded the needle there, but his spiral, like I was watching like some like close-ups and slow motions, like his spiral wasn't there this year. or this
No.
game. I don't know why that is, and some of it could just be first game nerves, or the fact that he is worried about getting sacked so much because he had so much pressure on the entire game. But this guy's elite. He is elite, and it's not going to be this year, but next year, Heisman contender. Absolutely. If he can play like he did in those last 3 minutes, and we saw that last year. It's not like I'm just saying, oh, this guy had one phenomenal 3-minute performance. If he can do that all the time, he did it all the time last year, right?
Yeah.
So we should be able to see that again, inconsistent. And like Emil said, they could peak at the right time. If they can get warmed up, this team fires on all cylinders towards the end of the year. You've seen that. You saw that last year, right?
Yeah. Well,
that's why Clay Helton's still here. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, for sure. I think Slovis can even make that a conversation this year, right? And I think 3/4 of one. It wasn't a bad performance. Like even in the first 3 quarters, he was good. He was above average. Like he was a good quarterback, even up until the very end. But what we saw in those last 2 drives was, I think, closer to what the actual Keaton Slovis is than what we saw in the first 3 quarters, which, as I said, was still pretty good. So if you take that and you extrapolate that, or even anything close to those last 2 drives over the course of a season, one of the best quarterbacks in the country for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have anything else you want to say about Keaton before we move on to the last topic? We've got about 9. So.
I'm not worried about the decision making. I think that was
neither am I. I think it was questionable.
There's definitely a chance that he came into this year, this game, thinking like, people are saying I can win the Heisman. People are saying I'm the best quarterback in the country. I saw somebody say he's going to be the first pick of the 2022 draft. So maybe he took that into this game and thought I can make literally every pass that is presented my way, and nobody can do that, right? So once he reined that in, he was extremely effective, extremely poised. He's going to be phenomenal this year.
I don't know the exact number, but I remember I was watching the stats yesterday. His first 10 passes were all completions. If not, it was like the first 8. Yeah. Oh yeah, he was 100% for a long. I think it was 100% through the first quarter, if I'm not mistaken. We don't get handouts anymore for each quarter, so I have to download them all and look at them there. But COVID protocols. Let's move on to the next topic, and this is one that every fan loves to talk about. Everyone in chat, you love this. Are you overreacting about the coaching situation? Fire Helton has been a hashtag for the past few years. I once wrote a column called "Just Because You Tweet Fire Helton Doesn't Mean It's Going to Happen," and I was right 2 years in a row. I'm just going to put that out there. I know what I'm talking about when I talk about the athletic director at USC apparently making decisions on firing coaches. But we saw some tweets after this one. Same old Helton, as long as Helton's the coach, this ain't going to happen. As long as Helton's here, this team's going to be bad. I'm not having season tickets until Helton's gone. Yada, yada. Immediate reactions to that.
Yeah, okay. So I didn't think Helton coached a particularly great game, right? I thought my least favorite call was, I think this was your least favorite call as well. I liked that he was taking 4th down risks. That's something we didn't even see a lot last year. I think he went for it 8 times this game. I mean, granted, 3 of them he had no other choice, but that's still 5 times where he went for it on 4th when he didn't totally have to. My least favorite call was the 4th and 1. They were like at the 10-yard line or just outside. They were in the red zone for sure. They were down 24-14 in the 3rd quarter. At that point, ASU had all the momentum on their side. USC had just driven 60, 70 yards. They were putting together a nice little drive there. I thought you just had to take the points there, draw within 1 score, get some momentum back on your side. I like that he has faith in his offense. I think sometimes you need a tiny bit, so I didn't love that call. And then on the defensive side, as I said, they just looked underprepared from a coaching standpoint. At the same time, I saw some fire literally everybody tweets, and I'm like, okay, do you mean Graham Harrell? Like, do you mean Dante Williams? Do you mean literally everybody? Because I think a lot. Yeah, please, I think a lot of that is overblown. And look, I get the fire Helton stuff, and I get that he didn't have a great game, but at some point, you have to acknowledge the fact that the offense turned the ball over 4 times. Okay, and if they didn't, if you cut that in half, they probably win this game by 2 scores. I mean, they fumbled right at the goal line, that should have been a touchdown. I think people were saying that even that was a bad call. It should have been a touchdown. I didn't see the proper.
I didn't think it was
judgment on that.
I thought it was.
Yeah, I'm not going to make. But regardless, you shouldn't lose the ball there. So, and I think that that's something that'll get worked out. Like turnovers are a team this talented doesn't turn the ball over that many times. Honestly, D1 college football programs don't turn the ball over that many times. Like they're good enough to hold on to the football. That's why they're there. I thought a lot of the wounds were self-inflicted. I thought that even though the coaching wasn't particularly great, particularly on the defensive side, and some of those fourth down calls, at some point they're not the ones playing the game, and you need to hold on to the football. Again, I think that that'll get worked out, and the fact, like you said, that they turned it over 4 times and still won is very promising. So yes, fans are overreacting about the coaching talk. I think some of it is justified, but my takeaway from USC ASU Week 1 2020 was not fire literally everybody.
Now, next week, the other Arizona school, if we have a game similar to this, I'll jump on that bandwagon. You let me know, USC fans in the chat, you let me know where that bandwagon is, and I will be the captain of it. But one thing I want to rant for a second. If you're down by 10 points at the end of the third quarter, kick the field goal. Like, it's a complete. I understand hindsight's 2020. For the record, I did say it before they lined up for that 4th down that they better kick it. If you're down by 14 points, it's a different story. That's fine. You still would need 2 score. Or you need you need a little bit more, right? If you're down by 11 points, you need to get the 2-point conversion. So I understand going for it there because you set yourself up, a little bit better. But you're down by 10 points. You need it. Go for why? I don't understand the play call. That is the one thing I really didn't understand that game. Like I thought, fine, every other coaching thing is I'm okay with. Fine. If the defense wasn't there, fine. Let Todd Orlando work things out. This is their first game situation. They didn't have a whole lot of padded practice that they could do. That Todd Orlando loves to preach the aggressiveness and all of that. Freaking field goal, man. That would have made it so much easier. Oh yeah. God,
and I mean, they would have been with that was the thing too. They were down 17-14 at half. It was, or they were winning 14-10, and then it was 17-14 at halftime, and then it was 24-14, and you're like, okay, this game's kind of slipping. And taking the field goal right there is a chance to prevent that from slipping. It's a chance to prevent that from totally getting out of hand and being unattainable. I mean, it wasn't unattainable, of course, but it's a chance to just hang around longer, and the longer that USC could extend, the contention window of that game, I guess I don't know about a better way to put it, the more chance they had to win. They ended up winning anyway. I thought they should have just taken the points there because they would have been within 7. At that point, you had to be feeling pretty good if they're within 7 points at the end of the third quarter.
They had a 0.2% chance of winning that game.
0.2% chance.
0.2% of winning that game. At the lowest.
Yeah. We have a question in the chat. What about the McCoy 1 out of, I can't quite count the zeros, but it looks like 1 million chance catch? BS. Sam, what are your thoughts?
Is he referring to the tip one or the?
Yeah, are you talking about the onside kick or because the touchdown? Yeah, the tip was actually a smart play. It was a smart play by Slovis to just throw it up. It was a smart play by Brown not to try to catch it and just tip it up because they knew that they had a free play there. The onside kick was a great play. It was a great onside kick. Shout out Parker Lewis on that one. And Brew made a great play. And Arizona State guy, I don't remember exactly who it was, but he was like right there waiting to catch it, and Brew just kind of, decks him. And then he got up and went and pounced on it. So either way, great play by Brew McCoy. The first one was obviously more of just being in the right place at the same time, but I was pleased with what I saw from him.
Yeah. All right. We're running out of time, so I'm gonna wrap it up. First, before we wrap everything up, I want to give a shout out to Emil again. He's always in the chat, and I noticed after last stream, Emil is now what is called a super fan on Periscope. It's a designation given to people that watch streams on a regular basis. They watch it for a long period of time. They're active in the comments. They watch regularly. So Emil, shout out to you for being our super fan. We love that. We love to see you in the chat. Anyone else, you gotta watch consistently. You want that status. Come on, you got to beat Emil. Emil's ranking is like 1.3 right, 1.3K right now. You got to beat him. So let's see it. Let's get some more people.
High bar.
Hey man, Emil, biggest fan. We love to see it. Thank you, Emil. We appreciate you. That's going to do it for this episode of Trojan Dash. As always, we publish columns exclusively with sportspac12.com. You can follow him on Twitter at sportspac12. Nathan has a bunch of great columns there. You want to read his stuff. You can also follow us on social at Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Dash Sports TV, on the web at dashsports.tv. Trojan Dash is live every Sunday at 3 p.m. after the game, breaking it down. And we got those crossover shows every Friday. So make sure you're tuning in for the latest on Dash. Follow so you don't miss anything. Subscribe to us on YouTube, all that fun stuff. Nathan, thank you for taking the time again. It's been a fantastic show. It was a fantastic game yesterday, albeit all the craziness. But,
fantastic is one way to put it. I don't know if it was the cleanest game I've ever seen. But yeah, sure. Excited.
Is it win a win? We'll let you decide. We'll see you next week.